Coming up on today's edition of Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports, I'm Chase Sr. Thanks for hanging out here with me. Should Darius Slay get benched? And if the Eagles do bench him, could they trade him? And then topic number 2, having to do with Darius Slay, he apologizes to Eagles fans for his tweet storm after getting dump trucked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and then going on the Micah Parsons podcast and not really backing up his teammate in CJ Gardner-Johnson. Let's begin with Darius Slay as the football player. Forget the drama. Forget the appearance on the Micah Parsons podcast, him signaling incomplete in the end zone against Tampa Bay when the Eagles are down multiple scores and the man that he was covering dropped the touchdown. Forget about the antics, right? Darius Slay, the football player. Should the Eagles bench him? Should they trade him? Darius Slay in 2024. He has an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 66.4. That is not bad. He has a coverage grade of 67.3. Not terrible either. But he is giving up a passer rating of 129.7 and a yards per catch of 14.8. Part of the reason why he is struggling and why this Eagles defense is struggling, the Eagles have played non-press coverage sets 88% of the time. That's the highest mark in the NFL. So that leads to a bigger yards per catch type of number. But the passer rating is a little bit concerning here for Darius Slay. And I'll give him his flowers. Among active players in the NFL, he actually leads all players in pass breakups. But sticking with the highest passer rating allowed across the entire NFL, and that passer rating number, Darius Slay is giving up the third highest passer rating in the National Football League at 129.7. Benjamin St-Juste of the Commanders, Deonte Banks, the only players in the NFL at that cornerback spot who are giving up higher passer rating numbers. And in the city of Philadelphia, we ask a few things of our athletes in the city of brotherly love. We want you to play hard and hustle. We want you to show that you care. We want you to take accountability. We do not want you to make excuses. And we want you to respect the fans. And among these 5 things right here, what did Darius Slay violate in the aftermath of that Buccaneers game? I don't think he played hard or he hustled. He didn't show that he cared. He didn't take accountability. He made excuses. And he disrespected the fans by tweeting out his resume and then going on the podcast with Micah Parsons. And that's why Eagles fans are fired up and annoyed with Darius Slay right now. Against the Buccaneers, the Eagles are getting cooked all game. I know it's 107 degrees in Tampa, and the pirate ship is shooting cannons. And the Eagles didn't really have a chance in that game after the first 2 drives because of the defense, right? But Darius Slay was a part of that porous defensive effort, and he wasn't good in that game. And to celebrate a touchdown being dropped, that's pretty corny. What's cornier is that when you get cooked and your defense that you're a captain of gets fried, you get annoyed by fans tweeting at you. It's the social media era. A couple of sayings out there. Never value the opinions of people who you don't care about, who don't care about you. Don't worry about other people's opinions who you'll never take advice from. It's social media. It's a cesspool. You have to have better control of this as a professional athlete, especially in the city of Philadelphia. And when you tweet this out and then you delete it and then you protect your tweets, that is not going to fly in this city. So it's great, Darius Slay, that you have 150 pass breakups and counting. Again, leads all active players. That you have 28 interceptions and counting. You're a 6-time Pro Bowler. You've been to the Pro Bowl the last 3 years for this Eagles team. Yes, you've been an All-Pro. But for you to say, when you talk bad about me, don't forget to mention the greatness of me too. Eagles fans know ball. Don't insult their intelligence, which is what you're doing here. But this is a what have you done for me lately type of league. When the receipts are out, the film doesn't lie. And to start this year, you have not been good. You're making a lot of coin, and you're not taking accountability. When you get cooked by Drake London in week 2, you're going to say, good route? No, No, Eagles fans don't want to hear that. You have to be a little bit better. And from a roster standpoint, Quinyon Mitchell has been this team's #1 corner this year. He's played superb. And Darius Slay could be in danger of either getting dealt or his snaps being limited or him getting outright benched. Because you think about this Eagles cornerback room, and we talked about this all offseason. They're pretty deep. Kelee Ringo, I think, could be a starter in this league. Isaiah Rodgers was running with the ones all summer. Eli Ricks is long, lanky, has talent. And Isaiah Rodgers and Eli Ricks and Kelee Ringo, they're not playing at all this year because ahead of them, Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay. So does this defense need juice? Does this defense need a youth movement? Does this defense need an injection of energy? And if that's the case, could they make some personnel changes and go with some of these younger players to see what they can do? Because at some point, you have to see what they can do. And this Eagles defense up to this point, they haven't been helped out by the offense, but the offense hasn't been helped out by the defense. This is not a Philadelphia team that is playing complementary football in all three phases of the game. But defensively, for the purpose of this conversation, Eagles are 23rd in points per game, 29th in yards per game, 30th in yards per play, 17th in third down conversion rate. They are 9th in the red zone. So that's a good takeaway out of those porous defensive numbers. But Slay, going back to him, he's a team captain for a reason, right? He is respected, and across the NFL, he's one of the more respected players in the National Football League. He does have a fun personality, and he has talked about that. And he even said it on his podcast when he apologized to Eagles fans, and we're going to get to that coming up, where he mentioned Jalen Hurts as a leader. He's more vocal. Darius Slay likes to be goofy, a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit softer. But look, if him and the defense continue to struggle, all of that stuff doesn't matter. What we care about is you producing, you caring, and so far Darius Slay hasn't been producing, and he showed us that he didn't really care about that Buccaneers loss. Again, that's why Eagles fans are perturbed by Darius Slay. So with that, today's poll question is this: what should the Eagles do with Slay? P for play, B for bench him. If you want to include T for trading him, let me know down in the comment section. If you're an Eagles fan, good chances you are also a Philadelphia Phillies fan. Myself, Chip, we grew up in the Philadelphia area. Philadelphia Phillies diehards. And the Phillies get postseason play underway on Saturday at Citizens Bank Park. First pitch scheduled for just after 4 p.m. And the Phillies, for the first time since 2011, able to win the NL East. This has been a very good division over time. So that is an accomplishment. Obviously, if they get bounced early, it won't even matter. But if you're October ready and you want to show everybody that the Phillies own the East, get your Phillies gear today. Red shirts, blue shirts available for hopefully what is a long playoff run for the Phillies. Head to chatsports.com/Phillies, and you can save money today thanks to our friends at Fanatics with some Phillies gear. So the next portion of this segment and today's show is Darius Slay apologizing for the Twitter storm, for going on Micah Parsons' podcast, and how he handled himself after that Buccaneers game. So here's what he had to say on his podcast about going on the Micah Parsons podcast, because a lot of people were caught off guard by that. Why would you ever join a division rival, is what a lot of fans said. I feel as if a lot of Eagles fans are very, very upset about me on the podcast with Micah Parsons. To be honest, I've known him before he became a Dallas Cowboy. We trained together when he was coming out as a young guy. We grew a great relationship. When we play the Dallas Cowboys, either here or at home, we both use each other's tickets. His family sits by my family sits by his family at the games. We have a great relationship. But I do understand the conflict, as the Eagles and Cowboys are rivals. It's real beef. It's real beef. And I'm not like a real controversial type of person. I'm kind of cool with everybody. I know y'all don't like that. I know y'all don't like that because that's not the Philly style. But how I was raised is I treat people how I want to be treated. So I just treat people with respect. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. But there's also a time and a place for when you go on a podcast of a division rival, especially a team like the Dallas Cowboys. And the time is not after you're tweeting like you did, protecting your tweets, blocking people when you say you can talk about me however you want to talk about me. I don't care. Clearly you do care because you're blocking people on X. But then the time is not to go on his podcast after an awful defensive performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as part of this conversation, too, would Brian Dawkins do this? Would Malcolm Jenkins do this? Would Seth Joyner do this? The simple answer is no. And part of this is a generational shift where nowadays players are a little bit different with how they get along with rivals and other players. Jersey swaps, posing for photos, going on podcasts. And I totally understand. Players have brands these days. And football players aren't as marketable as, say, an NBA player or a quarterback in the sport of football. You got to make your money, and you got to make a name for yourself the way that you can make money and make a name for yourself. But again, this week was not the time and the place, especially when Micah Parsons brought up C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and you're kind of just laughing about it after Parsons and C.D. Deuce went back and forth, and clearly C.D. Deuce took that personally, and he's not a guy that you really want to mess with, and he's been the heart and soul of this Eagles team this year. Here's what Slay said about CJ. If y'all feel like I betrayed him as a teammate, that would never be the case. I'm not one of them type of guys to betray a teammate because I would not laugh about something that me and him can't laugh about as well. I can never laugh at anything Chauncey can't laugh about because we done laughed about that situation before. Y'all know how Chauncey is. He's a hell of a player, and he likes to talk his shit, and that's what he does. So he brings a lot of media attention to himself because of who he is as a person. He's just active, and that's what he does. I'm the dude that is just quiet, and I interact with fans in a different type of way than he does. And again, like, it's okay that Darius Slay is his own person and C.J. Gardner-Johnson is his own person, but you can't really take the risk of annoying your teammates. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson took to Instagram and posted a story that said, damn, ... Did that have to do with Slay on the Parsons podcast, something else? We're not sure. Darius Slay's apology to Eagles fans. This is good. He's taking accountability here. He knows that he was in the wrong. So I apologize, Eagles fans. From the bottom of my heart, that won't happen again. I do take accountability for my wrongs. That was wrong for me doing that. That was kind of selfish and a selfish act a little bit because I've never been like that. That wasn't it. That's not my character. But yeah, y'all got under my skin. I'll admit it. Y'all got under my skin. Again, taking accountability and admitting that fans got under his skin, which should never happen on social media because it's social media after all, and that's what happens. People are hiding under profiles that don't have their real faces on their profile pictures, not their real names. You have to just know better as a professional athlete, especially in this city. So thanks for taking accountability. Do you accept Darius Slay's apology? A for accept, D for decline. Let me know down in the comments section. I want to see where you're at here.